I'm Deborah Piroch. Thank you for joining me for this very special edition program about the situation of Catholics and Christians in the Middle East. I'm joined by an Iraqi Christian Catholic man by the name of Paulus. That doesn't sound like an Iraqi name, but it's because he was born and raised Catholic, as many were in his time in Iraq. I'd like to begin by welcoming him to the program.
Thank you.
Franco, it's great to have you. You were born in 1957 in the city of Mosul, which you said at that time was a third Catholic?
We born Christian Catholics. We did not convert to Islam.
Right. What percentage of Mosul, though, was Catholic?
Until 1950, the percentage of Christian in Iraq or in Mosul was up to 30%.
One third, yes. One
yes,
third of the population. Yeah. And now there are no Christians
there
left.
Is no. There are not more than 250,000 Christians in all over Iraq.
All over Iraq.
Yes.
And we're purposely not telling our viewers where we're doing this interview. We are in Europe, but we don't want to endanger you in any way because there is a real threat, Muslim threat, that you could be persecuted in some way simply for speaking out for the Catholic faith.
Absolutely, yes, because no one can criticize, not even criticism. No one is
allowed to criticize the Muslim faith, yeah.
Yes. No one is allowed to criticize Islam.
Period.
Yes.
It's very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. You might put your life in danger.
You fled Iraq twice, actually. You said the first time was when you were a young man, and you weren't in actual danger per se, but you were persecuted, you said.
That's right. 1980, I had to flee Iraq because we have been harassed by Muslims.
In what way?
In what way? So, for example, when USA invaded Iraq at that time, my mother told me when she went to buy groceries from their neighbors, the man told her, go to George Bush to let him to sell you the groceries. We don't sell any Christian, nothing.
So you couldn't even get food?
Not even that, at that time, yes. But I fled Iraq in 1980, long before
the invasion.
The invasion of when Iraq went into Kuwait and have been driven out of Kuwait. At that time, the troubles were there were more troubles than 1980. But personally, I faced harassment by Muslims because I was always my attention was on the West. I've been speaking German, working for German companies there, and so they might have considered me as a spy.
Plus, you were Catholic, which didn't help.
Yes. Well, Catholic, officially they are not allowed to harass Christians, but privately it's different because they are asked for they are driven by their ideology to kill Christian or any non-Muslim.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I thought it was coming from the government, but you said the government actually didn't sanction this persecution per se, at least not initially. It was a cultural thing that came from this Muslim ideology.
That's right. Officially, they were not allowed to do that.
But they did it anyway.
But they have the faith. They believe that is something good for Islam. They have to drive all unbeliever out of Islamic countries. So 1980, the percentage of Christian in Iraq, not the percentage, there were 1.3 million Christian in Iraq.
And now only 260,000.
Yes.
And you said every day the airports are full of Christians leaving.
The borders of Iraq, the airports are full of Christians. They are just leaving the country. Because they don't have, they lost everything they had. So they have no future.
And no reason to stay.
No reason to stay. Not even, all of them, they lost their relatives, their friends. So there is nothing to send them to keep them in Iraq.
You after a certain amount of time, you said when Saddam Hussein was driven from power, you decided it might be safe to leave Europe and go back to Iraq.
That's right.
How did that turn out?
Well, after Saddam Hussein has been toppled by the U.S., the USA, they promised they will convert Iraq to a model of democracy in the whole of Middle East.
And you're smiling because obviously that didn't happen.
Well, when I was there, it was everything going okay under the protection of the U.S. Army. Muslim, they abducted Christian every time, killed them, massacred them, but all in all, the Christian have been living somehow peacefully. They all moved to concentrated on, for example, on Karakosh,
which is where you moved back to.
That's right, and they have been living peacefully there until 2014, when the ISIS came and invaded Mosul.
And we should say that Mosul, well, we'll tell this story. You barely escaped with your life and your family's life, but Mosul was only 20 kilometers, which is about half that in miles, away from where you lived. And you said you got up, you thought it was a normal day.
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. Imagine you wake up in the morning at 9 o'clock and you intend to enjoy your breakfast with your family in the garden of your house, and before you leave to your work, to your office, you decide to swim a little bit, and before you jump in the water, you hear something outside on the street. It's getting louder. You run away out to find out what is going on. You see a young woman between 20 and 25 years old. She's carrying a babies on her arms, and she's screaming, Daesh, Ijo, Daesh, Ijo. That what means the IS just arrived. They massacred all Christians in Mosul.
They killed all Christians in Mosul.
That's right. And they asked all people there to leave and to seek a safe haven somewhere else.
So somehow she escaped. She ran
to
managed
Karakosh. To escape and seek refuge in Karakosh at that time.
So you were only maybe 12 miles away, something like that, and you had to decide suddenly, what am I going to do?
That's right. So I was just stunned like all other people there. Everyone ran into his house and got into his car and just drove away. The same I ran into my house. I told my kids, my wife, get into the car.
We're leaving.
We're leaving now. We have to run away. So my wife she gathered some important things like pajamas or something like that, and we drove away. In 1 hour, a city of 50,000 inhabitants, it turned to like a ghost
town.
Everyone disappeared. Everyone has been heading towards north of Iraq. It is there. It's somehow a saver because the government of the Kurdish territory, it is now
it's Muslim,
kind of secular.
But it's secular Muslim, so
yes.
they're not into Sharia law.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But the Sharia is the aim of all Muslims.
Now, this is very important to stress because we hear over and over and over in the media that we shouldn't judge all Muslims by ISIS Muslims, that the religion is very peaceful, and that we're not being fair to Muslims. And you say in the Quran it actually says that Muslims are supposed to lie if they're in the minority.
That's right.
So that they can achieve a majority.
Exactly. According to Taqiyya, that is the Prophet of Islam, he demands Muslims to lie whenever they are in minority. Until they get strong, they must actually to kill and eliminate everyone who is not Muslim.
And you said it says that as well in the Quran.
It's written in Quran, yes.
Can you read that bit for me?
Yeah, sure. It is.
I'd like to hear it in the original because I'd like to hear the language.
Surah Al-Umran 3 آية رقم 54. That means verse 54 of Surah 3. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. That means the disbeliever conspired and Allah conspired too. But Allah is the best secret planners.
They are the best secret planners. This is about lying.
That's right.
When you need to lie.
Yeah. And also this cleric, an Islamic cleric, it's called, his name is Ibn Kathir, said of original Arabic, لنبتسم في وجوه غير المسلمين بينما في قلوبنا نلعنهم. It means somehow, let us pretend a smile for the unbelievers while we curse them in our hearts.
That's pretty serious stuff.
Yes,
and what
sure is.
And what you've told me is that Europe, well, first of all, you said Christianity in Iraq will disappear.
It will disappear because before Islam has emerged, the whole region was Christian and Jewish.
And this goes back to what, 70 years after Christ, you said?
We are Christians since 37 after Christ.
37 AD.
That's right. And the first churches are being built in Mesopotamia the year 70.
The year 70.
So
and this was part of Assyria, which was Babylonia and so on in those days.
That's right. We once controlled the whole world from India until Cyprus. And our language has been spoken through thousands as an official language from India until Cyprus, until Islam emerged and eliminated even our language.
So you were Catholic before Europe was Catholic?
That's right.
Way before.
Jesus Christ is born in Jerusalem, not in London, not in Vienna. So we knew Christianity before European.
And you said it was unlike, for example, China, which was difficult to convert because they saw it as a foreign influence coming in. The idea of Jesus Christ as God and man was easily accepted. Where
That's right.
You come from.
We as a Syrian, we have always this idea of being a human being and God at the same time. The king of Assyria was at the same time as a god, considered as a god, and even also a leader. So when Jesus Christ came, we didn't find any difficulties in understanding this idea.
And so Catholicism was embraced widely.
That's right.
Did it become a state religion?
At that time, yes, sure. But after Muhammad emerged, we paid a big price for that. Well, Persian, they also suffered under Islam, but they converted to Islam. That's why there is a state name called Persian till today. We didn't.
You didn't convert.
We didn't convert. That's why the price was higher. And now, today, I am one of the last Christian who is leaving Iraq.
We're going to stop right there. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please join me then for more on the situation of Muslims and Europe and Christians in the Middle East. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us after the break. I'm Deborah Piroch, and this is a special edition program talking about the slaughter of Catholics and Christians in the Middle East. Joining me is my very special guest, Franco Paulus, and I want to thank you for staying with us. As we went to the break, you were talking about the Quran and how the Quran says that Muslims should lie when they're in the minority, and it also commands, it is not a peaceful religion, maybe religion isn't even the right word, it's an ideology, and it commands that they kill in the Quran people who are not, who are of any other religion, not just Catholics.
Okay, let's make clear one point at the beginning. I am not here to instigate hatred against Muslims. I consider Muslims as a victim of their ideology. Muslims have, according to their ideology, to kill everyone he is not willing to convert to Islam. This order is mentioned in Quran more than 25 times.
So it's not even just once.
No.
Once would be bad enough, but 25 times in the Quran.
That's not all. It is always also mentioned in the Sunnah, which is the biography of Muhammad. It's mentioned about 102 times. The God of Islam and the Prophet of Islam, they ordered and demand Muslims to cut throats of non-Muslims.
We're hearing so much about beheadings recently. So
That's right.
This is all according to the orders of Muhammad
They are
centuries
just
ago.
practicing their religion. They are driven by their ideology. I don't think they are that they are born as evil human beings.
But they become enculturated by this ideology.
They get indoctrinated ever since the birth. They learn from kids how to hate Christian or Jewish. It is mentioned in Quran. I can recite one of these verses in Quran.
Sure.
It is Surah 47, which is Surah Muhammad. وَإِذَا لَقَيْتُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَضَرْبُ الرِّقَابِ, which means if you confront the disbeliever, strike at their neck. That's
Strike at their neck.
yes.
And this language is Arabic?
This Arabic.
This is
It's
Arabic.
original Arabic. So you don't have to. You can't wonder why they doing that. They are just fulfilling the commandment of their prophet. They're just practicing their religion.
Tell me what happens when ISIS comes into a place like Marrakesh, where you were.
Well, we ran away before they entered the
City, but
the city.
what if you hadn't gotten out in time? What would they have done?
In the meantime, they destroyed everything. They demolished churches. They put bombs everywhere in the houses. Yes, everything is.
Who did they kill? Everybody?
The ones who did not manage to escape, they have been trying to force him to convert to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who did not obey, they have been massacred.
Massacred.
Yes. They took our children and women, they raped kids and women, and then they sold them as slaves.
They sold them as slaves?
Yes, in Mosul.
So they're basically sex slaves.
That's right.
And then the children, I guess, are further indoctrinated, and they continue to try to turn them into ISIS fighters?
Well, you can see in the social media how they are indoctrinating the kids how to slaughter the babies of Christian.
I saw a picture of a young boy who was holding a gun standing next to an ISIS fighter, and the child was being told to shoot. I don't know if it was a Christian, but someone who was not a Muslim. And it struck me as almost unrealistic. It was so strange. And you're saying, no, this happens all the time.
That happens all the time. When they abduct a Christian child or Yazidis or whatever, they tell him, you are going to die anyway. So if you convert to Islam,
Mm-hmm.
and you die as a Muslim, you are going to go to heaven.
To paradise.
To paradise.
What a terrible thing to tell a child.
Yes. That's the way how motivated the kids to kill other non-Muslim.
Because they think that at least maybe they won't die so soon. And you said all the men are immediately killed, as well as the elderly, because they don't want to deal with them.
That's right.
The men would be a threat, and the elderly would hold them back, I guess.
Yes, that's right. That's what they did in Mosul. They killed all elderly men and women. The young girls and babies, they sold them, and they put there was also a price list.
A price list?
Yes, for a girl between 10 and 20, the price was about 220,000 Iraqi dinar.
How much is that?
It is about $150 US.
And is that the most desirable age because they're young?
Yes, that's the highest price.
Oh, that's the highest price.
Yeah, and the lady between
$150 for a woman, that's nothing.
That's
That's
right.
how they value women.
Yeah, a lady of between 40 and 50 years, the price was 50,000 Iraqi dinar, which is $22 US.
Oh my gosh. We hear so much about how women are used by Muslims, and you said in the Muslim culture, the man is the head of the family, and for example, if he's a Muslim, the whole family has to be Muslim. It's not a choice that they make. It's just in the culture that they follow and do what the father and husband says.
You can't choose your religion when you are born as a Muslim. The father, the brothers, they have the right to kill their brother if he convert to other religion. That's why I always say Islam is not a religion in that sense, because you can leave Christianity, you can leave Buddhism, Judaism, all of the other religions.
Yes, it's a free choice.
But not Islam.
Islam, they will kill you.
Yeah, it is rather as a totalitarian system of control. They strive the control of the entire world.
You said you think that in a certain amount of time there will no longer be Christianity in Europe?
Yes. My prognosis for the future in Europe, if the politicians of Europe, if the people in Europe, they did not break the wall of the political correctness.
Mm-hmm. Which is very, very strong here.
That's right. The European community and all over, even the Western world, like USA or Australia, Canada, they will not survive this century.
You said it is so bad that you don't even feel safe in Europe anymore. There are so many Muslim immigrants.
That's right. Because Islam is always demanding. It's asking for more rights. On the other hand, is giving nothing.
They get money from foreign countries like Saudi Arabia, and they use them to build mosques and schools and to indoctrinate their children here. How is that possible? Don't they have to go to the schools of that country?
Well, it's quite dangerous. Saudi Arabia is pushing billions of dollars to
$billions. To
Islamize the whole world. in Europe, in South America, all over the world. You see, when a Muslim intend to convert to Christianity, he will be faced of paying taxes for the church.
Yes, which is the rule in Europe, that if you're Protestant or Catholic, Protestant usually meaning the Lutheran Church, taxes are taken away, unlike in the United States, they're taken automatically out of your paycheck.
Exactly.
And so how does that influence Muslims who want to become Christian?
They think about it, but at the end, they change their mind because they are not willing to pay any taxes.
Wow, and this is, of course, the same problem with a lot of Germans, Austrians, other countries, where they're leaving the church, not necessarily because they don't like the church, but because they don't want to pay this burdensome church tax.
Exactly. That's one of the major reasons why Christianity is decreasing in Europe. And there's one more problem. I saw in the school here, the students, the children in the school, they are not taking part at the Catholic or the religion lecture lesson. No.
Which we should explain is religion is in public school here, unlike in America where you would have to go to a private Catholic school, for instance, to get Catholic instruction. So the Muslims just don't go? That's allowed?
The Muslims, they don't go. They have the freedom to do that.
Because this is a democracy.
They're practicing the democracy. Islam is using the democracy in Europe to destroy the democracy afterwards if they get out the range of minority. If they get stronger, they won't tolerate the Christian to practice their religion. That's what Muhammad did at that time. In the year 627, Muhammad killed by his own hands 800 Jewish from Banu.
800 Jews.
800
Muhammad
Jews
killed
by his own hands from Banu Qurayza. So how do you expect from follower of a prophet who himself killed people?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't have any good. I don't expect any good future for Christianity in Europe, on the whole world.
What numbers of Muslims are here in Europe? Do you have any idea how many?
According to the media, there are 60 million Muslims living in Europe. So the birth rate of Muslim is 3 times higher than the birth rate of Christians.
In most countries, right?
So that means in one generation, the 60 millions will triple itself. That means we will have by 2030 about 180 million.
180 million
Muslims in Europe. So if Europe is not able right now to control the violence of 60 million Muslim, how it's going to manage to do that in about not even 13 years?
When they reach 180 million.
I tell you what are they going to do? They are going to control the media, they are going to control the European Parliament, and they will force to implement the Sharia in Europe.
Sharia law. We're going to take a break right there and we'll be right back. I'm Deborah Piroch. Thank you for coming back for this special edition talking about the situation of Christians and Muslims in Europe and the Middle East. There are many, many martyrs already to Christendom, and there are going to be very many more from what you've been telling me. One thing that bothers me a great deal as a woman is the way Muslims treat women. You said Muhammad had, I guess it's debatable, but as as few as 13 wives and possibly as many as 99 wives, but that was just the wives. There was also a harem, in other words, sex slaves as well. This is using women as a consumable item, an object, not as a human being. Is that how Muslims think?
Yes. The first wife of Muhammad was, her name was Khadija bint Khuwaylid. She was 49 while Muhammad was 24.
The age of a mother.
That's right. So,
and she was a Christian.
She was the cousin of Waraqa bin Nawfal, which is the teacher of Muhammad.
Okay.
That means her uncle was the bishop of Mecca.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Which was Christian. Yes.
Sure. When she died, he married Aisha. She was only 6 years old.
6 years old.
But according to the resources, the Islamic resources, he consummated his marriage with her after she was 9.
So by today's standards, that would be sexual abuse and pedophilia, really.
It is so. But you can't say that in front of a Muslim, because he will say, no, he was a prophet, so he is eligible to do everything he wants, because that was an order from Allah.
Mm-hmm. I've seen stories in the West. It's happened once or twice in the United States, but it's still very rare, where a daughter becomes westernized and the Muslim family does not approve, and so they kill her. They do an honor killing.
Honor killings in Islam is just a standard matter.
It's standard. Nobody even thinks about it.
Not even is allowed not even to think about it. Yes.
How do the mothers? I'm trying to wrap my head around this. How do mothers cope with that? I mean, it's your daughter. Would the mothers approve as well?
Do you think the mother can decide?
She can't decide anything.
No.
She
is just an object. Women in Islam are just an object, nothing else.
Yes. You have 3 daughters. You're worried for them.
Absolutely. Otherwise, we just run away. The first thing I thought about was my wife and my 3 daughters.
You had to protect them. Yeah.
We just ran away and left everything behind.
Why is Europe so politically correct? Why, if Muslims are recruiting ISIS fighters even in Europe, why do they not stop the immigration? Why are they not stronger against the Muslim presence in Europe? I know in Germany, for example, there's this fear because of their Nazi history. They don't want to be accused of being hostile to foreigners, so there's a kind of cultural block. But I mean, there's France. There's not just Germany. There's Spain. There's England. There's Austria. There's all these countries. Italy, and the Muslims are encroaching everywhere. You told me.
Yes, we have first of all to break the wall of this political correctness in Europe. Otherwise, Europe is not going to survive this century, because. Well, the politicians, they always refer to economical, how would I say?
The economic relationship.
That's right. They refer always to the economical relation between the Islamic world.
Oh, and oil and things like this.
Yes. So that they are not willing to allow, not even to criticize Islam. Not even talk in the media about the cruelty of Islam.
What about the media? The media don't talk about it either.
Yeah, the media is controlled by the government.
Even though these are democracies, they're trying to be politically correct, is what you're saying.
That's right. Islam is forcing them somehow.
You said
economically.
You said some politicians are even married to Muslims. Here.
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
I don't mean just one or two, but
yeah.
it's becoming more and more frequent.
I've been trying to find out a reason for that. Why European politicians are supporting the Islamization of Europe, and I found out that many of them are married with Islamic Muslim women.
Women, yeah.
One of them is the head of the SPD,
which is a Social Democratic Party.
That's
in
right.
Germany?
In Germany.
In Germany.
So he's one of the supporters of Islamization.
And the Social Democratic Party would be not like our Democrats in the United States. It's a leftist organization or a leftist political party, further left.
That's right. And also the media are controlled by Muslims, by such people who are married with Muslim women.
Can you give me an example?
Example is Zweite Deutsche Fernsehen, the Generalintendant.
The second channel of German television.
That's
basically
right.
The head. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you expect from the head of such a huge media like ZDF to allow a discussion
CDF,
about Islam in this medium?
They're going to control it. Tell me about, we were talking about the role of women in Muslim society, or the lack of a role of women in society. I've heard it said that the Muslim ideology, if you will, honors Mary. Why is that? And considers Christ a prophet, because Christ would never have approved of any of this.
Well, in Quran, it's Jesus Christ is mentioned as a prophet, but the difference between Christ in Quran and in the Bible, in Quran it's mentioned that he hasn't been crucified.
So they don't believe he was crucified and rose from the dead.
Yes. They said someone looked like him. God made someone who looked like him, and they crucified the other one, not Jesus Christ.
Very strange.
Yes.
And they honor Mary just because he was Christ's mother?
That's right. And before I said, Muhammad was raised also in the environment of Christian too. He was married to Khadija. Khadija was a Christian. So that might be also one of the reasons.
But he still said kill Christians even though he was married to one. So it's astounding. It's astounding what you're telling me. We often hear it's kind of something that you would see in editorial cartoons in the newspaper or something. It's almost a joke. But we hear about how Muslims believe that if they kill Christians, they're going to reach paradise and be given a certain number of virgins. Is this true?
Yes. Well, first of all, I just want to mention a point. Muslims are offended by cartoons. But
like Je suis Charlie, for example.
That's right. And they are not offended when they hear their fellows are cutting throats of non-Muslims. So
they're happy with beheadings and slitting people's throats,
they are not
but they're offended by cartoons. Satirical cartoons, yes.
No, I just wanted to say raping non-Muslims, raping kids. All of these things, they don't feel furious about it, but they are feeling furious. They are offended by cartoons.
And a cartoon is nothing compared to raping a child. So
that's right. So back to your question.
We were talking about how they're so indoctrinated or brainwashed, they actually believe that if they kill non-Muslims, they're going to first reach paradise, and second of all, be given one virgin. How many virgins?
The prophet of Muhammad, the prophet of their prophet Muhammad, and their God Allah, they promised them to give them 72 virgins in paradise.
So each man who kills someone gets 72 virgins.
If they apply to spread Islam all over the world. If they kill the infidels, the unbelievers. So, and every Muslim will be rewarded with 72 virgins in paradise. For every woman he married on this earth.
He gets another one.
If he married one woman, he will get only 72 virgins. If he has 4 women, you can multiply that by 4. So,
I don't understand the logic. Why?
well, that's their logic. Well, when they have to believe Muhammad without discussion, whatever he says.
So polygamy, they would marry women at the same time.
Yes.
So the more women they have, the better.
All Muslims, they have the right to marry 4 women at the same time. Only Muhammad, he had more than
But he was a prophet.
13 women at the same time. That's because he is a prophet.
How do I know women really have nothing to say in this society, but if men are granted 72 virgins, what do they believe about women? Do women go to paradise?
It's nothing mentioned in the Quran about
Women, nothing.
About women. No, that's not all. Not only 72.
Oh, there's more?
Imagine if a Muslim has one wife, he has 72 virgins. By 4.
Because he, let's say, has 4 wives, you multiply that by 4.
By 4, then you multiply it by every woman, every virgin in paradise will have 72 servants.
Which you said are not just servants, but are sex slaves, basically.
That's right.
So more, are they virgins too?
They are like servants of the virgins. They are also virgins.
Oh my goodness.
So you have to multiply 4 by 72 by 72 by 72. So I guess it's 19,606 objects for every Muslim
That's appalling.
who enter the paradise. So Muslims think nothing else about but about sex slaves in paradise.
I had heard it said that before 9/11, some of those terrorists who ran into the Twin Towers at Ground Zero were visiting prostitutes the night before. And as a Catholic Christian, I immediately thought, oh, that's terribly sinful. Obviously, they didn't think that it was. I mean, it's part of the same philosophy of using women as an object. You hadn't heard that?
I've heard about that. If they rape a Christian or a Jewish or or any woman who is not Muslim, they are contributing to Islam.
So no problem. They're fine. With that thought, we're going to take a break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Please join us again soon. Thank you for coming back and joining us for the conclusion of this program. I'm Deborah Piroch, and we're talking about Christian martyrs in the Middle East and the growing Muslim presence all across Europe. I'm here with Franco Paulus, and thank you again for staying with us for the conclusion of the program. 9/11 was a big day in the United States, and not just the United States. I know when the bomber slammed into the World Trade Center, they killed over 2,000 people, and the images were horrific. And every German I knew wrote me an email. Now, in the Nepal earthquake recently, many more people died, but the difference was these horrific pictures. You said you feel that Muslims are making inroads everywhere. How are they making inroads, for example, in America?
Well, I've noticed every time Islam or Muslim commit an atrocity, they gain advantages.
For example?
For example, 30,000 human beings have been killed on 9/11 and the World Trade Center. And afterwards, a huge mosque has been built just close to the ground zero. Also, after Charlie Hebdo in Paris,
The Je suis Charlie with the
Je
editorial
suis Charlie,
cartoon that offended Muslims.
that's right. European politicians just hug the Islamic representatives.
You said Angela Merkel was hugging.
Merkel, she has been. She gathered all the Muslim representatives and hugged them, and she supported them. I just didn't understand that. And she said that for the first time she says Islam gehört zu Europa, which means Islam belongs to Europe.
Belongs to Europe.
So
they're forgetting about things like the Battle of Lepanto and how it was so hard to drive the Muslims out of Europe.
Yes, I mean at that time the Muslims, the Ottomans, they came. They couldn't enter Vienna. 1525 and 1683 because they wanted to penetrate the border of Europe. This time is going be much dangerous because
there's no Catholic resistance.
in the heart of Europe.
They're already in the heart of Europe.
So if they make an arrangement between the Muslims in Europe and the outside, the IS, so it's not going to have the same result at that time. It's very dangerous for Europe.
Are there other Iraqi Christians like yourself who are speaking out? I know, for example, you have a Facebook page. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, after I've heard that Angela Merkel said Islam gehört zu Europa, I established a site on the Facebook, a Facebook site. I called it Islam gehört nicht zu Europa.
Which means Islam does not belong to Europe.
Yes, and I wrote an open letter to Angela Merkel.
Who's the Chancellor of Germany?
The Chancellor of Germany. And the letter has been read within 3 weeks about 28,500 times.
It sounds like a record to me.
Yeah, I guess people are getting aware of what is going on.
Are the reaction, because everyone can post a remark on Facebook, whether they like it or if they want to comment, what kind of comments do you get? Are they overwhelmingly positive or negative or just a mix?
Well, sure. The European people, they are reacting, the majority of them, positively. They are they're getting afraid of what is going on because I mentioned in this letter, I asked the Chancellor Merkel not to get my story be repeated in your continent.
You're trying to actually help Europe so that it avoids mistakes that actually the Iraqis thought that they could have peace too at one time. Well, it wasn't Iraq then, but they thought that they could have peace with the Muslims. And obviously that didn't work out. And today they're trying political correctness and they're trying ecumenical ways. And you're saying this won't work.
I guess as long as Islam is in the minority, they are still peaceful.
We're still safe.
Yes. But if they across the border of minority, they get majority, they will have to kill other non-Muslims. That belongs to their ideology. They have to fulfill the commandment of their God and their prophet.
And it's not like some of them will say, well, I'm a Muslim, but I'm not for Sharia law. They automatically are for Sharia law.
Well, a moderate Muslim might be not able or willing to kill you, to kill me, but he will let the other Muslim, which is
more radical,
do it for him. Do it for him.
And approve.
Just as simple as that. Yes.
What kind of future do you hope for your family? I mean, do you expect to stay in Europe? Do you think you'll have to leave Europe, or do you just try not to think about that? I mean, I know you've got your wife and daughters to protect.
Well, if it continues this way, Europe isn't going to be safe anymore. At the time being, we feel safe somehow, but when my daughters go to the schools and they bring the brochures of school, they are kind of missions for Islam, and they're in the literature of school.
You meaning just asking people to send money?
No, they are putting Islam equal to Christianity. So
these are not Christian nations. Well, I mean, these are Christian nations originally, but they're not Christian anymore.
No. The Islamic they telling kids in the school that Islam is a peaceful religion like Christianity.
And it's not.
It's not. That's a big failure.
You said when you left your home and you had to flee, you still get emotional about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now emotional. Whenever I remember that time, I always get emotional. I can't get above that. It will need time to
deal with those feelings.
To deal with these feelings, exactly.
Because you can never go back to your homeland. You can never be living in Mosul.
There is, at the time being, no perspective to go back.
Ever. And this is your homeland.
Yeah, I mean, even if the war is over, what should I do there? I mean, I lost everything. I have to begin with zero.
Again.
And
you've already done that.
Yes. I'm 58 years now, and I have no energy as a 20-year-old man.
Yeah, it's a little easier when you're 20.
Yes.
But it's no safer for the 20-year-olds anymore.
Not even for him, no. I mean...
you said the popes basically just say pray, that there's not much else that one can do as a Catholic, but we can pray for the Muslims.
You prayed enough for us, yes.
And pray for the conversion of Europe, the reconversion of Europe. What do you pray for?
What I pray for? I pray for peace on the whole world. But according to the current situation, there will be no peace. And either we defeat Islam or Islam will destroy the whole world. Just as simple as that. There is no option. Because it has the... its aim is to control the entire world. That's written in Quran. It's the aim of their God.
We're going to stop on that note, that grim note. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your views as a Christian coming from Iraq about the dangers of Muslim ideology, not just in the Middle East, but across the whole West, and the threat that ISIS holds, not 100 years from now, not a generation from now, but now. And we would ask all of our viewers and listeners to please pray for Christians who are in situations like our guest. They need many prayers. They have many martyrs. And the situation seems, at best, like it will be grim in the future. But with God, there is hope for everything. So on that note, thank you for joining me, Deborah Piroch, and please stay tuned to this station.